G'day everyone, it's DuckPhil again, gonna bring you a Zerg vs Terran this time, another match coming out of the LiquidSnute replay pack. It was number 59, just recently released about a week and a half ago. I seem to think everyone seemed to miss this. I don't know if something happened on the same day, but I haven't actually seen too many people casting some of these replays, so I'm going to have a go at getting as many of these out as I can. We've already seen a couple go out on the channel. Take a look at Snute versus Vipro. Also have a look at Snute versus 4GG, a couple of really interesting games on Newkirk Precinct. One of the newer maps in the Heart of the Swarm beta map pool, of course, and we're going to have a look at this one here. Going to be starting out at the top right-hand side of Daybreak is our Liquid hero, recently winning the UK ESET Masters Cup. It is LiquidSnute. He's going to be the red Zerg just up here. His opponent down at the bottom left-hand side, of course, switching over to Terran after a long stint playing a Zerg, after then playing Terran before that. It is Morrow. He's going to be down here as our blue Terran player. Of course, as many of you would know if you've been around for quite a while, of course, Morrow was a player who did really well as Terran back in old Wings of Liberty, especially in the beta. He actually was one of the people initiating the big 5 racks Reaper plays. Actually took out Hydra in one of the earlier, I believe it was an IEM, or was it one of the ESL events? I can't remember which one, but did take out Hydra in a very interesting set there, which I believe sort of led to the nerfing of the Reapers originally in Wings of Liberty. Of course, he has played Brood War way back in the day, so he has certainly been around for a very long time as part of the StarCraft community, and he's going to be well up for a pretty big challenge here. Of course, Snute has been doing wonderfully lately, as I mentioned before, taking out the UK Masters just a little while ago, just about a week and a half ago. In fact, just before this replay pack came out, which is why maybe some people missed it on the TeamLiquidPro.com website. But anyway, Snute is just a wonderful player. Of course, you know, he's a couple of things that I really admire about the way Snute plays, and I really would like to see a lot of the Zerg players doing at the high level, is using Overlords with your attack forces, especially against Terran. Of course, a lot of the issues that some of the Zerg players have been having is with Widowmines, just various sort of clumps, various sort of sizes of Widowmine groups that are out on the map, and a lot of players sort of say, well, you know, how do I deal with that? Because a Widowmine just destroys all of my Lings, all of my Banes, you know, some of the Roaches, takes down a lot of health on Ultras, all these kinds of things. Snute just says, you know what, to hell with that, we're going to send across, you know, all of my Overlords, so they can soak up some of the damage from the Widowmines. They go first, and then the units come afterwards, and there's not really that much a Terran can do about that, of course, so you have to be either on your toes and unburrow the Widowmines as soon as the Overlords come across, and, you know, something like that. But Snute does an excellent job with that. He also has really decent creep spread as well, so we'll keep an eye out for all of these kinds of things. Morrow, we can see him going for a command center first, a little bit of a flash style coming out of him, but we'll see what particularly he's going to go for. I don't think he's well known for sort of doing too much mech. That said, during the early part of the Heart of the Swarm beta, he was known for playing basically mech only, so I would not be surprised, you know, we could see that come out of him. Of course, you guys all know that's my favorite kind of way to play. But it looks for the most part we are going to get just an early double Hellion play coming out of Morrow. Perhaps the old double Widowmine, who knows, we'll see what happens. But it is going to be something a little bit standard like that. However, looks as if Snute has actually picked up his Roach Warren very early. Of course, a lot of gas coming out of that extractor there. No Ling speed getting started up just as of yet, saving up a lot of that gas. Looks like we will get around about a I'd say about 8 to 10, maybe 11 sort of Roach count coming out of Snute very soon. He's just picked up 3 Overlords which are about to pop out, allowing him the ability to get all of those Roaches started. Of course, the Roach is taking up quite a lot of supply there, so if he can get them out and quickly move across the map, of course, Morrow with that CC first is actually, you know, his defenses won't be as fantastic as they would normally be with a standard sort of style. Of course, by now you would actually have a couple of Hellions already already out of the map, but Morrow has only just got the first 2 Hellions now. He's got 2 Widow Mines following that up, and there you go. It is going to be 12 Roaches coming out of LiquidSnute. He's going to roam across the map with these pesky little buggers and going to jump across and see what kind of damage he can get done. As we mentioned, of course, the Hellions will just come about, and Morrow will be able to see what's coming. In fact, he did jump onto the Zelnaga Watchtower, caught a little bit of a glimpse of those Roaches roaming across, and we'll see how he's going to defend against this. Of course, one bunker with a couple of Marines, perhaps not the best way to defend against this. These Widow Mines going to move into position here. Doesn't want to put them too far out. Now, a reason for this, of course, is that a lot of players at the high level, and of course we mentioned Snute, will just sort of send their units in one by one, and if both of these Widow Mines can only just sort of take out 2 Roaches, that's not actually the best thing you want to do. What you want to do is have them available to sort of hit a big cluster of Roaches that might try and group up here, and this is actually one thing I was going to point to, is, there you go, takes out, gets a lot of splash damage, takes out 1 Roach and splashes across 3 of them, and in fact the second mine does almost the exact same thing. So reasonably well defended there by Morrow. He is going to take a little bit of his mining away from him, so Snute's going to be happy about blocking off all of this area here. Of course, it is going to, you know, stop any mining in this little area here, but it looks as if the Marauder and a couple of these Hellions just up at the top edge here will slowly be able to pick apart the units, but Morrow has to be very careful. Can't really lose these Hellions just because of the possible threat of Lings coming through as well, and also needs to have them available just in case all of this gets cleaned up quickly, and then he needs to get back out on the map to regain that map control. So Morrow will move the mines across, going to try and burrow them down as quickly as possible. A couple of the mines taking some shots there, but the Hellions and Marines going to take the majority of the shots, and the 2 Widow Mines get into the action there and finish off that attack. So nicely defended by Morrow, catching out those early Roaches with a couple of good Widow Mine shots, and then just being very careful and patient, taking his time to defend against that. So behind all of this, Snute has boosted himself up to 60 drones right now, taking his 3rd base, of course, not mining any extra gas just as of yet, but he has picked up gases 3 and 4, so we'll see how his tech is going to proceed from here. Of course, with the lair done, he's also getting the pneumatized carapace, getting out a couple more queens, some more Roaches for defense as well, and we'll see how he's going to move from here. Of course, you know, there are a few options available to the Zerg players these days when it comes to dealing with what I would assume he's going to. He hasn't actually scouted through the main just as of yet, but he's going to probably be dealing with this buyer, very heavy buyer play coming out of Morrow. In fact, just off of 2 bases, we're going to have 7 racks, and that's going to be really interesting to see if Morrow's going to go for that push. He does have a 3rd orbital command, perhaps looking to take a 3rd base, but he will have a lot of production power once all of these racks kick in and he is able to move out on the map. But this is one thing which Morrow has not been able to do, is stifle his opponent's economy. We can see that Snute is now up to 59 drones. We're probably going to have a few more popping out soon, but he's actually just really committed to this Roach push. We've got a lot of Roaches now out. The Overlords are now going to come across. It looks like they have spotted that a drop is going to be moving across the map, and with no 3rd base here, Snute is going to be aware that his opponent will have some pretty decent defenses. But speaking of which, Snute is, well, just going to walk up the front door. He actually doesn't even get the supply depots lifted in time. There is 1 Hellion just trying to poke about, but its wheels are falling off, and it looks like Snute is just going to be able to waltz through and just take care of quite a lot of the forces of Morrow. We can see Snute actually starting to drop down in his supply as well, losing some of these Roaches along with a couple of these Overlords as well, but continuing to produce the Roaches. He's just going to really pressure heavily here, and Morrow is going to be able to hold. For the time being, he is able to push the forces back. SCV's catching the Roaches on the ramp there, just sort of blocking them off so they can't move too much. Marauders and Marines at the back are going to be able to clean all of this up, but a lot of damage has been done by LiquidSnute. 39 workers killed in total, taking Morrow down to just a total of 24 here. His economy is in absolute tatters right now. About 400 minerals coming in. No 3rd base. Is, as we said, his SCV count reduced to just a total of 24, and well, Morrow is in a little bit of a sticky situation. So while we mentioned his production was going to kick in to high gear here with all of these racks available, with his economy falling apart, and obviously with just some of these mules mining, he's actually going to have a very difficult time at getting that extra income through on the map. So it looks like Snute has just put himself in a very powerful position for the mid to late game here. It sort of depends if he wants to commit to just sort of pushing in with all of these attacks, or if he does want to sort of get himself established make sure his economy is in a good position or not. But I'd actually say, given that he's still sitting on 55 drones, we're actually just going to see him continue on with this pressure. We've now got Hydras about to pop out as well. Groove Spines, +1 missile, and the Carapace also being researched. So Snute is really committing to this mid-game push here. He's stifled his economy, as we said, cut down the production of Morrow, and he's just going to really commit to blocking off this third base as best as possible. He has come across, denied some of the mining yet again for just a short time there, but the Roaches have now been torn apart by the Marauders with their 1-1 on their upgrades. They're actually doing a pretty good job, and Morrow says, "Get back here." Taxi chase after that car, and the Roaches are going to probably get caught out here. I think they are, well, yeah, they are caught out, but there is no concussive shells for Morrow, so he isn't able to slow down some of those Roaches, but he does take out the majority of those forces, but he's not really going to be able to push too much further than that. As we can see on the army supply, Snute up to 52 army supply right now, 49 for his opponent, but Snute has got these very powerful Hydralisks, and of course, with the 1-1 now completing for his forces as well, I don't see what Morrow is going to be able to do here with this attack. In fact, he may actually lose a little bit more than he bargained for, picking up the units, getting the medevacs out of there quick smart, engaging that ignite afterburners, and getting the evacuation done as quickly as possible. In fact, leaving one of the medevacs behind. I'm not sure what this guy is up to. Perhaps they ran out of fuel, but that is almost dead. But as we can see, Morrow needs to be very worried about the possibility of drops just coming through, of course. As we saw before, with Snute getting that very early pneumatized Carapace, he is actually able to move around those Overlords very quickly. As we said before, he can soak up Widow Mines with some of those Overlords as well. And we'll have to see how Morrow is going to deal with this. He's down at 116 supply. His SCV count finally boosted up just a bit, up to 46 right now. Not exactly a huge amount for this stage of the game, the 15-16 minute mark. Not exactly doing too well is our Blue Terran here, and it looks like, well, Snute's going to have a quick look through. He still is not exactly sure how much the economy, or how badly the economy has been affected by those early attacks. But just scouting through, he can see there isn't really too much production going on here. None of the lights are flashing inside these racks, and while his Overlords are just poking through, he can see there isn't too much of an army just in this middle section of the map, but they are actually now pushing down the southern side. Morrow is aware that there is a hatchery building at this fourth base here. Going to come across, but there is a wonderful surround here for Snute. There is just too much. These Roaches have 1-1. The Hydras at the back have got their 1-1, along with the Groove Spines as well, so they're able to shoot over the shoulders of the Roaches here, and with that kind of concave coming in from Snute, he is just able to put too much damage on. When you've got a Terran force that's clumped up here and you can do all sorts of damage, I'm not sure how well Morrow is going to be able to push through this position, but the tank does come along, and with the tank sieging up and pushing across from long range, Morrow now able to move down to the bottom of the ramp. He's going to try and create his own concave, but we can see that Snute comes in from all sides and is able to crush most of this army here. Roach is moving up to the top of the ramp, and with the siege tank down, Morrow is being torn apart here by these ranged units of Snute, and his supply is now up to 175. More Roaches popping out, muscular augments coming along for the Hydras, along with 2-2 upgrades, and Snute, look at that. That is that is a 20 minutes basically speed for those Lings. 20 minutes until that has come about. A very interesting thing to see in a TVC like this, but Snute playing it out really well. And of course with Morrow now just sitting on the 3 bases. He's trying to get a 4th command center up and running, and we'll see how effective that is. But Snute is really starting to put together a massive army. We've got basically a maxed out supply right now. 191 is in the red at the moment, unfortunately due to losing a stray Overlord that was out on the map. But with 2-2 about to kick in, you can bet that this push is going to do a huge amount of damage. But speaking of huge amounts of damage, Morrow, quad drop inside the main base, is going to be able to pick off the majority of the tech here. We've got Roaches now, Roach Warren about to go down. Of course, we'll bet the spawning pool and the hive are going to go down as well. But Snute has decided to do his own push. Hydras coming through, tearing apart the remaining defensive units of Morrow, and SCVs were pulled out to try and defend against this, but it is just not enough. Morrow, meanwhile, has done his own decent amount of damage. We've got a very interesting base trade here. Of course, Snute has got a huge amount of economy backing his own base trade, so he will be able to try and reinforce this if he needs to, or just defend back at home. Of course, there isn't really a massive force coming out from Morrow. He's going to tear apart the majority of Snute's economy, and if he can take care of some of these Hydras as they attempt to escape, then he may be able to perhaps salvage this game. But the fact of the matter is, his own production is going to start to fall apart. We've got these 7 racks inside the main, but it is going to be very difficult to try and keep them operational. These Overlords, again, we mentioned it before, Overlords soaking up some of the damage of these Marines here. The Hydras and the Roaches at the back are going to try and take down that production. Meanwhile, for Morrow, he's still pushing across, taking out the 3rd base, doing some really good stutter step here, getting rid of the hatcheries and all of that production of Snute. Of course, Snute is now going to, he's actually still got his infestation pit, so he's able to crank out a couple of swarm hosts. And I tell you what, it sounds really weird, but in this sort of situation of the game, a couple of swarm hosts can basically mean a victory for you if you can move them into the right position, siege up your opponent's base, or just simply defend against their incoming push. Then you can hold your own. And as we can see, Snute brings out the drones because that is basically all he's got to help out with the Hydras here. The Queens also do come about, but now that these swarm hosts are finished, these guys, 2 swarm hosts, yes, but they are worth their weight in gold right now. And as we can see, Snute going to just polish off the rest of this base here, taking Morrow down to 40 supply. The last remaining Marine goes down. Supply depots are the only things basically left inside this base, and Morrow is in a very, very tough position right now against a 128 supply Zerg player. He's got some of these extra energy units coming out. The Infestors are now out. Of course, these guys with their fungal growth and infested Terrans can be quite powerful at this stage of the game, where it is turned into a base race and things are getting a little bit precarious. And now we can see that Snute is about to come through and probably polish off the rest of that base there. Morrow, with his last few remaining units, comes across, but a fungal catches off everything there, and he is forced to GG. So really interesting game between these 2 players on the EU server up in the Grand Masters level there. We see Snute doing some really heavy pressure with Roaches, then of course adding in the Hydras as well, able to secure his economy, boost himself up to a really decent amount of drones. Even now, after losing 3 bases, he's at 51 drones, so he'll be very happy with that. And Morrow will have to live to fight another day, but I hope you all enjoyed that match. A really interesting one there. Make sure you check out some of the other games on the channel here, and make sure you subscribe. Also, you can catch this replay pack from LiquidSnute over at teamliquidpro.com. I'll catch you all next time. Of course, you know, casters and community members that have been at the, wherever it was, I can't actually remember where it was, but wherever it was for the big announcement that has been a little bit hush-hush, but has been revealed in part recently on Reddit.